Hi guys, this is Mairo Vergara here again, and welcome to another vocabulary booster lesson. Today, the lesson is based on the text How Much English? Actually, the name of the text is How Much English Should I Study Each Day? And today, we're going to look at some words and expressions from the text. We're going to learn some sentences, and all those sentences will go into your Anki or Anki deck. So without further ado, let's get into the lesson. Okay, the lesson. So we're gonna start here with the word maybe. Maybe, okay, that's a very important word. And the word maybe, there's a you can say maybe and you can say perhaps, which is the same thing. So maybe means perhaps, and maybe and perhaps both mean talvez. Okay, so example, maybe he'll come, maybe he won't. So maybe, it's a probability, we don't know. So maybe it's likely that he will come, but maybe, we don't know, maybe he won't. Okay, so maybe he will come, maybe he won't. Perhaps it would be better if you came back tomorrow. So maybe or perhaps, the meaning is just the same. So perhaps, maybe it would be better. So maybe it's better, it would be better if you came back tomorrow. And I have my coffee here, my Goku coffee. So maybe it would be better if you came back tomorrow. And here a change which could affect perhaps 20% of the population. So a change which could affect, okay, so it's a change, something will change, and this change could affect, and could also expresses probability. So maybe it will affect, perhaps, maybe, we don't know, it's a probability, 20% of the population. Okay, so a change which could affect perhaps 20% of the population. Okay, moving on. We have here the word children. Children. Okay, make sure you make the L sound. Not children. No, children. Children. Okay, and children, it's the plural of. Where is the whiteboard? Here. So we have child. Child, it's a kid. Okay, it's a child. Okay, now child, children, many kids. Okay, so there's no childs. No, it's child, one kid. Children, many kids. So, and child can be a kid or your son, your daughter. Okay. So, example. He took the children to Disneyland. Okay, so Disneyland. So he took the children. So the children here mean, his son, his or her son, and his or her, daughter. So the children, not just regular random kids. Okay, so in Portuguese we say as crianças, but the meaning is their sons, their daughters. Okay, he took the children to Disneyland. How many children do you have? So it's a question. How many children? How many kids? How many sons? How many daughters? Okay, how many children do you have? And here, I used to cry very much. So I used to cry. So when you say I used to cry. So I cried many times. Okay, it was something that I did regularly in the past. So I used to cry. So I regularly cried in the past. Okay, so if I say I used to study English when I was a kid, when I was a child, I'm saying when I was a child, I regularly studied English. So I used to cry very much. Okay, it was a habit, okay, when I was a child. So when I was a child, a little child, I cried and I cried and I cried very much. I used to cry. Okay? So singular, child. Plural, children. Okay? Remember that. Then we have the word at least. Okay? There's a very famous song called At Least. Okay. No, it's not At Least. I think it's At Last. It's different. Yeah. The song is At Last. At Last. Okay. This is different. This is At Least. At least is the minimum. But you can search for At Last. Okay. At Last. It's a very nice song. At last. Let me make sure I'm not talking, nonsense to you guys. So just 1 second. Yeah, that's the song, right? If you want, and at last, it's a different thing. It's another thing. So the meaning of at last is like finally. Okay, at last. Finally, yeah, double L. Finally, okay, at last, finally. Now, at least, it's different, right? So at last, it means finally. At least is the minimum, okay? So, example, it will cost at least $500. So the minimum, it will be $500. Okay, that's the minimum cost. It will cost at least $500. Cut the grass. So you have to cut the grass. The grass, the green things that grows in your garden. It's the grass. So cut the grass at least once a week in summer. So at least, so the minimum is once a week. You have to cut it once a week minimum. Okay, so cut the grass at least once a week in summer. You could at least listen to what he says. So you could at least, the minimum you could do is listen to what he says. Okay, so it's a very common expression. You're going to hear it a lot. You're going to use it a lot. So make sure you understand it. At least the minimum. Okay? At last is finally. And there's a very famous a song that you can go to YouTube and search for it. I really like it. Okay? At last. But it's not at least. At least it's a different thing. So, okay. Moving on. We have the word amount. Amount is a quantity. Okay? Quantity. Examples. Be sure to add